All right, this is Killjoy, and I'm your host on the Digital Wild West. This is podcast number 1. This is my son. His name is Psychocomix. Is that right?
My online handle.
Yeah. Where'd you get Psychocomix?
I was trying to think up a funny. Something 2 words that go really well together. Originally it was gonna be Psychonomics, but then it was taken on Steam, and then comics rolled off the tongue just the same. And then I tried to do a YouTube channel where I drew comics, but I only drew 1 comic, and I ended it.
You gave up? So you just had, is that the biggest problem right now? That's like the biggest dilemma in games, is trying to find a good name.
A good user tag, yeah.
I mean, I feel like the first people in get to put all the cool stuff, and then you bump into like Happy Guy. Or what was your name he used?
The Killer Cow 18.
The Killer Cow. No, there was what was like Super Happy Fun Guy? What'd you?
Oh, Cool Guy McGee.
Cool.
I still use him on all my RPG stuff.
If you bump into Cool Guy McGee, you'll know who you're talking about.
I have Cool Guy McGee, and then my second account is Cool Bro McGee.
Cool Bro McGee. So we are going to talk a little bit about kids maybe growing up with technology. Now, full disclosure, I worked for a video game company for years, from your whole life, really, from the time when you were the youngest kid. What do you remember being the first games you used to play?
PS2 level stuff.
Is there one game that sort of stands in there as like, this was it?
The very first ones I can remember are Shadow of the Colossus, Sly Cooper, and then like Mario Kart on the Game Boy Advance.
What would you like about what got you as a kid? I mean, those are Shadow of the Colossus is pretty. I don't want to say adult, but it's pretty large.
Its themes are mature.
Its themes are mature.
It's got a little bit more deeper meaning behind what you're doing.
Is that what mature rating means? Deeper meaning? What is it when you see mature on the back? Like
that's
I'm
not
shopping,
what people are thinking when you pick up Shadow of the Colossus. They're thinking monster killing. They don't think. No one thinks of it when they pick up a mature game and they're like, it's mature for the reason of the story being deep, on how like you're unlocking by killing each colossi, you're killing some random beast that doesn't need to be killed, and then by the end of it, you've killed all these monsters, and now you become a demon. That they don't. When people think of a mature game, they think of blood and gore and swearing. Yeah.
They don't think of.
They don't think.
That's not what I think. When I see mature on there, it means you're going to see some stuff as a kid you shouldn't see.
No. Yeah, well, I think Shadow of the Colossus was like teen rated, so I don't think it was that bad.
Were you a teenager when you played Shadow of the Colossus?
No. But I think
Wrong
I thought
with
it was
your parents.
super cool. I thought it was cooler than Zelda. That's for sure.
It's cooler than Zelda. It was cooler than Zelda. So, when you were asking me to play Grand Theft Auto, were you like, there's a serious plot in Grand Theft Auto?
That wasn't the reason why I wanted to play GTA 5.
Why did you want to play GTA 5?
Because it's...
At least you waited till 5. I think you were around when 3 was out there.
3 was out there when I was like 8, 7. But, well, the weird thing that happened with 5 was that I watched... When it first came out, the reason why I wanted to play it was because of all the dumb shenanigans people post on it, where they just show you driving around an open world and then you like drive into your friend on top of a mountain, or you all go skydiving in a place. That's what I wanted to do. But now when I got to it when I was about to go into college, I realized that this is all boring. You can't really do anything in the game. It's really just like that was the only thing, was like messing around and making friends. There's no missions. All the missions were very bare bones.
Okay, when I jumped into Vice City the first time, I just got a truck and drove over hookers for 30 minutes. And I was like, I probably shouldn't let my kids play this. You never did that in the game. You could see that my son's a better man than I am.
I didn't even get to play. I didn't even play that much of it. I hyped it up so much, and I realized that I've pretty much seen all of it already on YouTube. And none of the fun stuff is left. All the fun stuff was... Like, the one thing I remember, that reason, like, I really wanted to play the game, there was, like... in the multiplayer, there's like a train that goes around the map, and you can't stop the train. I remember seeing all these videos of people like how to stop the train, the secret to stopping the train, and then what they do is like they'd get like a big monster truck and back it up against a wall, and then the wall would stop the monster truck from moving. And this is the train will never stop moving. It's programmed to not. So you put them up against each other, and they would just like shoot up into the sky, and that was what was fun. But that was like a one-time gag, and that wasn't even intended by the game developers at all.
That's the most stuff is finding stuff that game developers never intended.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you think YouTube has changed video games? Like my frustration. Well, I guess in playing games, there's a big part of exploring how to play these games. Shadow of the Colossus. Remember we used to ride around forever, right, trying to find the colossi, or just finding how to destroy these colossi. Mm-hmm. And I remember, and I think I reminded you of this. You seem to have blacked it out of your memory, but you wanted the Harry Potter game for Christmas, and
not the Lego one.
No, it was not the Lego one, but it was one of the.
Was it the Kinect one?
I can't remember. It must have been somewhere in the 2005-ish era, somewhere in there.
Before I even watched the show.
Probably, yeah, because you had access to the YouTube. This is another topic. So you watched the entire game on YouTube, and you were like, I really want to play this game, and then I bought it for you, and within like an hour, you were like, I completed it because you watched all the secrets. Like, how do you see games have changed from, before YouTube until now that you have YouTube? How do you think they've changed making games, knowing that if they just make this linear story, you're not gonna, no secrets will be left for the person playing the game.
I mean, I think what I was doing was dumb. Was watching complete Let's Plays. Now all I do is will look up a review that will show like 5 minutes and just like this is what the game is, and you could get a good inference on what the game's gonna be about. Watching a complete Let's Plays and then buying the game is a little bit bit of a bummer, unless it's something completely off the wall and it will be different every time you play it. But that's rare. But I think when a kid goes on to watch like I don't know, Red Dead Redemption 2 Let's Play, and then he buys the game after. It's different in the sense when I was a kid, when I would just pick up a random game and start playing out, I would have no idea. But it's also more of a confirming thing for the kid to be like, I know what I'm getting into. I don't know. It's like back when I was a kid, the best I could get was going into GameStop and putting in a Game Boy Advance game and then playing for a little bit. That was all I could get, was the knowledge of what game I was buying. I think it just boils down to nowadays kids have more options to figure out what they're buying. Does it take away from the fact that it's a new experience? Yeah. But it's giving like a warning to what you're buying. I think kids know, like, I have a limited amount of money and I don't know what I'm going to spend it on. And I'm not going to get I don't get a paychecks.
Yeah,
basically
you got to wait for Christmas.
Yeah, you got to wait for
money
Christmas. So that was like a big reason why I would do it, because I had to section out my money so much. And if I didn't know what I was buying completely, then I'd be bummed about it.
So, funny thing is, you as a kid had like every console, being that Dad worked for PlayStation. Yeah, funny story, we used to get all the games for free, so we just have racks and racks of games. And most of the games we'd buy you, like I would have racks of games we'd take down to GameStop, and we'd just exchange. You remember going in and we'd exchange like...
I don't remember getting the money from it.
You got all the games from it. Maybe that's not what it was. No. We'd go down there with like, 50 games that I had just laying around.
I don't remember that.
We'd trade them all in, and then we'd just buy you, we'd re-up on new stuff. I think they'd hate it when we'd walk in the door because we'd have so many games.
We'd ruin the economy of GameStop.
We would. There was a guy who I will not mention, who we'd go to his office and visit. He had every single game that Sony, basically every game that was made was sent to him. This was everything around the world. His house looked like something from a Harry Potter, or not his house, but his office, with just stacks of games. Mm-hmm. And I go in there to meet with him, and he was like, "Oh, do you want to take some games?" and I picked up 2, and he's like, no, like as many as you want, like take them off the walls. So I must have grabbed like 30, and he was like, that's it, like here's another bag, like take more of these things. They're mostly crazy Japanese imports, which you probably would love now. But,
no, I would. You couldn't get me to play Katamari when I was a kid. I thought it was too weird.
You hated Katamari. That's the one I couldn't talk you into. Do you still think you like the same games as an adult? Well, almost an adult, as you did as a kid?
Like platformer stuff, like Sly Cooper, Jack and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank. Would I like that stuff now if they started making those games? Yeah,
if you just found that game now.
I thought about that because I go back and I'll play like a PS2 game. Like a couple months ago, I went back and replayed Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, PS2 platformers in like 2019, and I could feel the datedness of it and how much it was when I'd be playing the game. And there were so many times where I'd just be like, I don't know where I'm going, because usually nowadays gamers, they're like, we have a mini map and then we have a checkpoint and then something to get you where you're supposed to go. Back then it was like, it was very figure it out. No.
Yeah, you didn't have a YouTube video to watch.
No.
Show me how to pass level 7.
But if they did, I go back and I'll play like Jack and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, or Sly Cooper, and I can't sit down and play it for as much as I did as a kid. I don't know if that's because I've gotten accustomed to it, or I just know exactly what's going to happen, or if I've just gotten older and I need different kinds of
enjoy different
genres.
Like what's funny, like with Atari, like a lot of the games that I was on when I was that age, they're fun. There's only a few things really in Atari that I go back to, and I think I could play. I think Dodge 'em.
Play anything from Atari.
Dodge 'em is in it. Well, Adventure, which have you played through Adventure? You did play through Adventure, right?
I just watched the YouTube video.
You watched the YouTube?
I just watched the YouTube video that said first Easter egg, and that's all I know about it.
See, I figured it out.
You figured out the Easter egg?
Yeah. Well,
you went back and took the 1 pixel right back to the start.
Well, we had to learn. We heard the rumors, these things were out there. But there was no, you heard this like on the playground, these things were possible. And we took the little gate thing in there. We walked to every single wall, everywhere in the entire thing. We just roamed and roamed and roamed until you heard the blip. It was Ready Player One in our era. But yeah, that game. But you go back now, like that's one of the few games. If you want to talk about depth in a game, that's there. But there's not a lot left there. But I go back and I can only play those for a couple minutes. It's not like there's some.
You can go back and play Adventure and still be like entertained by what you're taking.
Probably not, but I could make. That's one that had depth. Very few had depth. It was usually Space Invaders or some. There was
the
one,
classic ones.
Yeah,
ones that have stand the test of time are still being talked about today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like, like catch-up games or single mechanic stuff. That was pretty much
like how people are still playing Tetris in 2019 because it's such a classic concept.
It was, Tetris had another level of brilliance. So, so you would go back and play Sly Cooper. I think I would go back and play. I think some of those games do hold up. So now, now VR is a big thing, right? So there's a new game you're playing right now. You've been in there a while. VR chat. Tell us about VR chat. What happens in VR chat? Try and describe what happens in VR chat.
It's the first incarnation of the idea of Ready Player One is the best way to describe it. If you've seen Ready Player One, it's the first version of that.
What does that mean for the people out there that don't?
It means It means a game specifically built for communicating with other people and just talking. There's no built-in feature of the game that you play for gameplay. It is all depicted by the creators playing the game. So it's basically a foundation, and all the other players build their stuff in it. And
when you say build, like Minecraft?
I mean, in like Unity and Maya and Unreal.
So
like
Unity and Maya are actual game technology.
Yeah, so actual game engines. So people will build what they want to do, and then you join a world, and then there's other people in the world, other real people, and they can play as whatever avatar they want. They can be SpongeBob. They can be.
So there's people in there with like
There's real
branded,
people.
like,
Mm-hmm.
are they like there's real brand? Every time I go, I haven't been in there once or twice, but there seems like there's no like copyright laws in there. Like people are anime characters and robots and Rick and Morty. It's like
I think that just has to do with because it's so low key. No one knows about it. No one knows what's going on in VR chat. It's such a. I think it's got a consistency of like 1,000 players right now, so it's just in that place. It's in that awkward area where people can't copy.
Do people talk about that kid in there that had the seizures yet at all? Have you heard from that kid?
People joke about it.
They joke about the kid. With
People
the
in VR chat are like, they don't. You see, it's because in VR chat is this very specific place where there is no governing law over what you can say.
It's kind of a wild
thing.
It's
really weird. There's no country saying there's no hate speech. Well, I mean, they say there's the rules of service where they say like don't say the N-word, don't say the bad words, be so respectful and all that stuff, and you can get kicked if you start being annoying.
Who kicks you? Who kicks you?
There's admins and moderators, and there's like community things where if I click on you can block people or you can vote to kick everyone one person out of the room. So there is like the people in the room can enact on it and then like do all that stuff, but
plus I guess they're like there's all real people, right?
Yeah,
so
it's
you
all
act
real
like
people.
A jerk, everyone's gonna be like, get out of here.
So it really doesn't happen that often. You can, unless you're in like a private room and with all the people anything can be said, and in that case, it's just a private domain governed by whoever's in the room. But anything can be said in there. There's nothing.
And you don't know where anybody's.
You don't know where.
It's anywhere in the world, right?
Complete anonymity. Or,
anonymity.
Yeah, anonymity.
I sent him to college.
Except for voice. But even now, voice is getting into it because people are putting voice modulators on.
Are you kidding? So you sound
a bunch of. But no one uses it for security reasons. People make their voice sound like a girl voice. Is what most guys are doing.
See, I would sound like Harvey Weewax. Mm-hmm. You don't know who Harvey Weewax is? Google it.
People think I'm like 30 in the game.
It's because your voice is so deep. I think your voice is deeper than my voice now. So, how long do people stay in that thing? Are there locals that stay in there? I mean, what do you do? Because there's no game, right? Mm-hmm. It's all just...
It's just society. It's just a virtual society. There's rooms in the game built for sleeping. People will sleep with their VR headsets on.
Are you kidding?
People will go to bed...
Do you find just a body laying on the ground?
I'll run up to them and yell in their ear and they get really pissed. Yeah, that happens. And now they have leg trackers, so now you get a full body with hands being visualized and your feet, so you can do a full lay down and people can know the exact what your body is being articulated by. And there's like rooms where people all sleep together. Well, it's just community
just sleep.
Not that stuff. Not there's rooms where people congregate and sleep together.
Some guy does a talk show in there, or did, right? Isn't that what you were saying?
I don't know if he does it anymore. It was back when the game was super. There was like 300 people in the game. That was like 2 years ago now. I don't know if he does it anymore. I got into it. I was in the video in the background, walking around as a big fat guy with a black tongue.
Do you still have that character?
Yeah, they haven't taken it. The original world where they put it is gone now, and I know the secret place to go to find it, so no one else can. If someone finds it,
sounds like an Easter egg, kids.
Yeah,
sounds like an Easter egg.
If you can find mine, if you can find the big, fat clown guy with the big black tongue, I will be amazed. He's dug in there. You have to go back like 2 years in Worlds and like go into a secret portal. It's hard to find.
Are there themes that develop in there? Like, it seems like sometimes when you go back to games, like people will all be into one thing, like tag or like I don't know. Some of those online games, they'll like remodulate themselves as like community jokes. Does that stuff happen in there?
I mean, the worlds can be like anything. It will change with the new times. People are constantly putting in newer and newer worlds. Like,
has the resolution improved at all? Have you seen?
So resolution, no, because it's all based on your headset or your screen you're playing on. But in terms of like how much better the graphics have gotten. Not incredibly better. Actually, they actually took like a step down when the Oculus Quest came out. They ported it to Oculus Quest, so there was a bunch of stuff being like restricting how detailed things can get.
It's all Oculus, right? There's no like.
No, it's on Vive. It's on everything.
It's on PSVR gets in there too.
Not PSVR. It would. I guess it could actually be ported to PSVR now. If they're doing through the Oculus Quest, they can do it through PSVR now. The only thing I'd be worried about is
probably all the branding stuff. There's no way Sony could dip their finger in that sewage pit.
They probably couldn't. I didn't think about it from that point. No, but the worlds are constantly being improved. And a week ago, I went into a new world where some random guy made this world for no money. He didn't expect any money to be out of it. There was nothing. He didn't get paid to do it at all. He made a horror map where it was the most advanced one I've ever seen. Where he figured out how to make like heads track you. I would walk down a hallway and then like these fake heads would poke out and then they'd track you down. It'd be terrifying. Figured out how to be like, if I look this way and then look around behind me, the stuff that disappears. I look back on something in front of me. And it was terrifying. And was not there when I first joined the game. That technology, people are getting smarter and coding better.
Advancing, huh?
Yeah, there's more advanced people in it now.
Moving the needle of VR. So everybody in there is a different age. Is that ever weird? Like, is the only way to tell basically by you hear somebody's voice?
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it. Yeah. It's weird. You'll go the age thing. It just depends on what you're talking about. People can fool that really easily. Now people are starting to fool gender really easily by people trying to lower and heighten their voice.
Yeah.
It could be anyone you're talking to.
It's Ready Player One. It's really going there.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing you've been in there, would you let your kids play that game?
No. not.
No?
No. What scares me is my little cousins want the Oculus Quest.
Yeah.
And now it's ported to Oculus Quest, and now they know that I've talked about before, and cannot get on.
They're gonna wonder.
They're not gonna be allowed because on the amount of dumb stuff I've heard with like the when everyone thinks about VR chat, and they think about the really bad stuff that can go on because complete freedom. I have experienced it before, but it's not on the level that anyone is thinking. It's very rare.
Yeah.
It's really interesting how rare it ever gets to that point, but there's always the risk, and letting a kid talk to someone who they know nothing about
it's creepy in general, just through...
I would say wait till they're 17. So
wait till they got some sensors up there that say this person is a freak.
Yeah, that level.
It's a good choice. That's a good choice. All right, this is the first podcast series with Psychocomix and Killjoy. We're going to cover some the youth view versus the parent view here with a few episodes. Is there any topics you'd like to cover here?
Any topics?
Like, Dad, why did you let me play these games?
No, not in that sense. I feel like I grew up fine for what happened. For the way I grew up, I don't think there was any that big problems. I think I was smart enough to stay away from the bad stuff.
Yes, I think you were. All right. So long, episode 1. This is Killjoy and
Psychocomix.
And we won't be back for a while because we're off to Japan. Maybe we'll record some audio podcasts from Japan. And what's the most exciting thing you want to see in Japan?
Akihabara.
What's in Akihabara?
The anime central of the world.
Anime central of the world. All right. Maybe we'll do a podcast from Akihabara.